or tune it in the sun. This is TFM, get ready to rock. From AM to PM, come on, let's talk.
TFM 95.4.
Let's talk.
Live on TFM and the TFM Facebook page. This is the live feed of TTV. Let's talk.
Hello and welcome to Midday Update. Here's the latest news from our newsroom. The Ministry of Health today announced the registration of 9 new coronavirus deaths in Oman. The death toll has now touched 290 in Oman due to the virus so far, the officials at the Ministry of Health informed. They also extended their deepest condolences to the family of the deceased. In addition to that, the officials at the Ministry of Health also announced the registration of 1,327 new coronavirus cases in the country today. 1,008 of the new cases are Omani national and 319 for non-Omanis, bringing the total number of coronavirus cases registered in the Sultanate to 62,574. According to the Ministry of Health, this number also includes the recovery of 40,090 patients and 290 deaths. The ministry urged everyone to adhere to social distancing instructions issued by the Supreme Committee and the Ministry of Health, as well as staying at home and not going out unnecessary. It's time for a quick commercial break, but stay tuned as we have more updates your way. Welcome back to TTV. You're watching Midday Update. More than 70% of COVID-19 deaths among Omanis are people aged over 60 years, whereas the mortality among expats of younger age is more. Since the beginning of the pandemic, 273 deaths have been registered in Oman due to coronavirus till Tuesday, July 14th. 140 of them are Omanis and 133 are expats. According to data published by the Ministry of Health, among the deaths of Omanis, 103 are over 60 years old, which equals to 73% of Omanis dead because of the virus. 15 deaths have been registered in the age between 50 to 59 and 12 in the 30 to 39 age group. No deaths have been registered in the 20s age group. In comparison with deaths among expats, 24% of deaths are among cases older than 60 years old, where the rest are younger, with 36 deaths in age between 50 to 59. Most expats' deaths are in age between 40 to 49 and 41 deaths recorded. As many as 19 deaths in age between 30 to 39 and 5 deaths in age between 20 to 29 have been recorded. The National Employment Center calls on all institutions to commit to providing the center with all vacancies, jobs and occupations to be filled in order to enhance employment efforts and activate its tracks. In its announcement recently, their center said, the National Employment Center has noted some jobs posting without prior coordination with the center, and we should note that it is imperative for implementation of the Royal Decree number 22/29/2019 on all units of the state administrative apparatus, civil, military and security, and private sector establishments to provide the center with all vacancies and jobs to be filled. The center also noted that it is still receiving requests to fill the position of CEO of the center, and according to the announcement issued in this regard, the selection process will go through the usual procedures followed. 5,000 part-time workers' contracts were registered last year, according to data published by the Ministry of Manpower. Partial employment contracts can be registered by a number of groups, including students over 15 years old, job seekers, employees, retirees, and housewives. The Ministry of Manpower said in a statement that the number of part-time work contracts for Omanis registered with the ministry up to the end of 2019 reached 5,000. This is part of the initiative to facilitate temporary work procedures and partial work and enhance the flexibility of the workforce movement. Companies can register part-time labor contracts electronically. The Ministry of Commerce and Industry has highlighted the importance of communicating via emails as a precautionary measure against the spread of COVID-19. The ministry has emphasized that it shall not receive paper mails and that emails can be sent to moci@moci.gov.om. This step has been taken to preserve the safety of its employees and to stop the spread of coronavirus. The ministry also urged all investors to communicate through the ministry's official channels for inquiry. Dr. Khalifa bin Mohammed Al-Hadrami, Secretary General for the Judicial Administrative Affairs Council, issued a circular on July 15, 2020, saying that people need not come to courts as everything can be managed electronically in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. Services available through the lawyers portal are registration of cases, the filing of lawsuits in the courts of first instance, registration of applications, receiving lawsuit inquiries, payment of judicial fees, receiving ads, follow-up on the lawsuit procedures, print lawsuit, recording of the execution requests, recording of disputes of execution, requests to include lawyers, exchange of notes, registration of appeals, deposit of appeal newspapers. In addition to that, services available to all litigants through follow-up on the progress of lawsuits, follow-up on the implementation of judgments, follow-up on the dates of sessions, follow-up on decisions, judgments, and orders, seeing of the judicial principles, the judicial journal, independent rulings, and legal publications, seeing and pulling out statistics, viewing and printing out legal publications, and lastly, receiving judgments from any court. Now, this comes as the Council believes that the lawsuit can be managed electronically through the website and lawyers portal, and this judicial platform will help all litigants while preserving their health, the Legal Affairs Council said in a statement. The Atlantic Council, a reputed research organization concerned with international relations based in Washington, has praised the policy of development followed by His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tarik. It also stressed the Sultanate's keenness in enhancing its regional and international relations. A report issued by the Atlantic Council added that the foreign policy of His Majesty the Sultan and initiatives since assuming power indicated His Majesty's keenness for further cementing foundations of peace at the regional level. The report also praised the rapid progress in the Sultanate and its political non-alignment, coupled with strong internal investments which led to stability in the country. It continued saying that the Sultanate has established good relations with China, India, and Europe, along with cooperation in the fields of energy supply and investments in technology, among other fields. It also pointed to the cooperation on development of Dukum Port within the framework of a $10.7 billion deal, which targeted establishment of an industrial complex in the special economic zone of Dukum. In addition to that, the report also dwelt on the relations between the Sultanate and India in the economic field and pointed to the agreement on sea transport between the two countries, which is the first for India with a GCC state. The report also pointed to the investments by India in the special economic zone of Dukum. It lastly stated that the European countries agree that the Sultanate is a trusted partner in the region. Stranded residents can come back to Oman if they get approval from Oman Embassy in that country, an official from Oman airports confirmed to the Times of Oman on Wednesday. Recently, a large number of expats and students who were stuck in various parts of the world returned to Oman in these special flights. The official said that I will advise everyone who are stranded outside Oman to get in touch with the Oman Embassy in the country. It's time for a quick commercial break, but stay tuned as we will be talking about COVID-19 and sports, old habits die hard, with our special sports analyst, Mr. Shiv Gupta, after the break. Welcome back to TTV. You're watching Midday Update. Before going on a commercial break, I informed that we'll be joining by Mr. Shiv Gupta, our expert sports analyst, who's going to be talking about the COVID-19 and sports, old habits die hard. So let's welcome Mr. Shiv. Thank you so much, Mr. Shiv, for joining us once again.
You're welcome, Nadia. How's everything? Thank you so much for inviting me again.
It's always our pleasure to have you and your expertise on what's happening in the field of sports across the globe. Mr. Shiv,
let's proceed, please.
Yeah, I'm sure you're aware that England are one of the first cricket teams to resume playing sports. I just want to know, how do you think is the atmosphere currently like at the cricket grounds in the country?
Yes, Nadia. Fortunately, I can say that I was fortunate enough to be in last year World Cup, during the World Cup cricket in England. And I spent more than 2 weeks during the entire tournament. And I could see the kind of craze in England. Beside the football, they are very crazy. They are crazy about cricket as well. So definitely when I talk to my colleagues and a few of my friends who are a part of active cricket, and they are also a part of active coaching centers in England, it is a very good sign, to be very honest with you, because I keep on talking to them. And a couple of months back when we had a discussion during the lockdown time, it was definitely a depressive situation everywhere, even in England as well. But everybody, what they started saying that after the lockdown is open, even though the cases are slightly lower down, but after having the sports, especially the Premier League has already started and the cricket has already started, the environment has become more lighter, and the pressure of COVID, the mental pressure has been relieved, and definitely people are taking all the precautions, and beside that, they are able to watch the matches at home. So definitely it is a good sign for them, and the message goes to the world that yes, that the matches can be played, the sports activity can be started with the proper precautions and care.
You know, Mr. Shiv, it's really good to see that the cricket is still alive in England, because as we all know, or for some who do not know about it, that actually it was England who introduced cricket to people across the subcontinent, if I'm not wrong, right, Mr. Shiv?
You are absolutely correct. England and Australia, these are the two countries who started cricket actually. And these are the two nations who are very much into cricket. So coming back to the life after COVID era, and good part is again started in England. So it is like maintaining a same tradition when cricket was invented in England. And after 4 months or 3.5, 4 months break, the cricket again started in England. As I said, that when you are avoiding going out, staying at home, and watching repeated telecast of the matches and movies and TV serials, it is a big mental refreshment for all of us when you see live cricket matches, live football matches, and gradually other sports, when kids are glued to the television and can watch their favorite sports. So overall, it is helping us to protect COVID scenario and situations as well.
I would really like to take that point from you, Mr. Shiv, forward, that, watching any sports, even if you're not a fan of a certain sport, even if you watch that sport live, the feeling is completely different. To be honest, my personal experience was like, I always grew up watching hockey and cricket, but I was more glued towards, like, I was more interested in cricket and hockey. I couldn't understand much. But since I moved to Oman and I've been attending these live hockey matches here, when the international countries like India, Pakistan, Japan, South Korea, Malaysia are coming to play, and watching live hockey match, the feeling is completely different. Like, not being a fan of hockey, I actually fell for hockey, and I really wanted to start, going to the coaching center and start doing some kind of activity. So I completely agree with you in that way.
Indeed, what you just said, that watching the matches on the ground is entirely different experience, and watching the live matches most importantly. As you rightly said, international hockey tournament was organized by the authorities here in Oman last year, and I could see the kind of excitement and kind of interest for the people who are not a very die-hard hockey players or hockey active students or people who follow the hockey. they went and watched the game, and even I was fortunate enough to go and watch one of the games. It was fabulous. It was very good. And in fact, when you see the same game happening live on TV and watching the environment, it is a wonderful experience. No doubt about it.
I'm sure the environment right now in England would be more like of a celebration and a festival.
See, when you count up a COVID lockdown, 3-4 months, then there is a lockdown, there is a restriction, there are challenges, and most important is your health issues. When you are coming, and we have never experienced this kind of environment ever in our life. Anybody who is even 80s, 90s, they would have never also experienced this kind of experience, because the previous pandemic was there in 1920. So it is a kind of experience, lifetime experience, I would say, for all of us. And after this kind of 4 months of break, suddenly things started rolling down. You will feel better, definitely. And most important part, we all need to consider, I mean, you don't have to forget that COVID has not gone out. It is still around us. So let us not forget that factor, that we do not want to follow a situation when we have to be locked down again and we are restricted to go out. So definitely we have to make sure that taking all the precautions and care, if it is allowed, then go for it, and if it is not allowed, just follow the instructions and do the needful.
Absolutely. So, Mr. Shiv, staying with cricket for now, the most common habits that we have seen among the players, especially the bowlers, before bowling, they use their saliva to rub on the ball, and then the same ball they rub on the uniform. And now, considering the situation that you rightly pointed out, that we still in the pandemic, we're still in the middle of coronavirus. So how do you think it's going to be dangerous? Because that ball is received by the fielder, the other players, and it's basically handled by a lot of people. So how do you think this habit can be dangerous, or how to prevent it?
See, the good part about this new regulation by ICC, that before this tournament, there was a 14 days quarantine period and some tests were recommended. And just to make sure that all the players who are playing over the ground, they are free from COVID-19. But as you said, that this can come from anywhere. Even people are taking precautions, but it is still coming up. And saliva is obviously very dangerous, because this is a very critical portion of the body which can transmit the disease to anybody else. Here, ICC had made some strict guidelines that saliva should not be used while cleaning the ball. But the critical part is, if you, as you said, you are a diehard cricket fan as well, cleaning the ball with saliva is very critical when you talk about the cricket, especially the new bowlers. They use and clean the ball, make the surface shining so the ball gets turned and swing while using the ball. And with these restrictions, when they are not allowed to clean the ball with saliva, it is very challenging. Definitely, they are allowed to rub the ball on the trousers and shirts with a napkin, but the ball shine would not be as good as you use the saliva to clean the ball. We have seen James Anderson, because anybody knows cricket, he would not miss this name. One of the finest test bowler and one of the most wicket taker in the test cricket. He is known for his swing, and even though a lot of restrictions, a lot of information passed to him as well, he could not resist, and due to habit which I've been following from ages, like he is actively playing cricket from 20 odd years, and somebody who was following the habit and suddenly you stop it, it was very difficult. So he, by mistakenly, he used the saliva to clean the ball. And you would note that there is a regulation from ICC that umpire will give you 2 warnings, and if you continue to do the same mistake, the third time, the opposition team gets 5 runs as penalty. So 5 runs in any form of cricket is a big bonus for other team. So these are the challenges. And beside this, some points I would like to mention that when ball goes out of the boundary, normally there is a ball boy. The ball boy picks up the ball and throws to the ground. And here ICC have advised not to have the ball boys. Rather, they have advised the reserve players to sit beside the ground and throw the ball back. And most important part, once the ball comes back to the ground, it's umpire's responsibility to sanitize the ball and give it to the bowler to bowl it again. So obviously these are the not a common practice, but you have no choice. Good part is the cricket has been started. The good part is sports are starting gradually. So these are the challenges will be there definitely.
Mr. Shiv, the topic of the show is old habits die hard, and rightly you pointed out that James Anderson faced this issue because it's just the thing that you have been practicing since you started playing cricket. So considering that, how difficult it is going to be, or how challenging it is going to be for all the players to actually, get over with these old habits.
See, what the news says that when this point of topic started in March and April, where how to start the cricket again, there is a new terminology started is biosecure environment, which is very new terminology when you talk about the sports and cricket. But yes, it is biosecure terminology has been used by ICC. That means sanitizing the ground, making sure there is a minimum possible interaction with outsiders, there is no crowd involved, and most important part, what we are facing, what we are seeing over in the England tour, they are choosing those grounds which has nearest possible hotels. For example, in these England and West Indies matches, earlier you know that it was kept in Lords as well, because Lords is a Makkah of cricket and you can't miss this ground. But the hotel, nearest possible hotel, was quite far, at least 10 to 15 minutes distance from the ground. That is why the ECB has decided to change the venue, and they moved to different grounds, which is Manchester and other ground, which is where the hotels are within the ground. Because I remember the Manchester ground where India and Pakistan played last year in the World Cup. And I could see their hotel, the balcony of the hotel opens across the ground where your teammates, during the practice, you don't need to wait for the buses. You can just walk out and enter in the ground. So ICC had chosen these two grounds where hotels are available within the stadium, and just to avoid. And very exciting, very heartbreaking news, I would say, today came up from England, where Jofra Archer was excluded from the test, which is scheduled to play today, just because he, from the ground to ground distance, the buses are supposed to take the players and take to the playing ground. But Jofra, being a local player, he chose to go to his house and then come to the ground. And you will be also surprised to know that every player are tagged with GPS devices. This is a very surprising for all of us, that every player has been tagged. Tags means maybe they are wearing the watches, and maybe they are allowed to carry their phones while moving in during the entire tournament, and you can track the location. And Jofra Archer, he missed that few slots, and he was punished actually.
We are going to take a very quick commercial break, but we are still in conversation with Mr. Shiv Gupta, so stay tuned. Welcome back to TTV. You're watching Midday Update, and in conversation with us is Mr. Shiv Gupta, our very special sports analyst. So, Mr. Shiv, before going on this commercial break, we were talking about, how cricket has resumed in England. Having all these and the conditions and the regulations put in by ICC, ensuring the safety and well-being of the players. Do you see any chances of World Cup happening in October? Considering all the precautionary measures that the board is taking, ensuring the safety and well-being of the players.
Maria, that is the same question. It's a concern for everyone actually, especially people of Oman, players of Oman, and sports lover of Oman. And we talked this in the previous episodes as well, that this is the most critical topic for us, especially for the cricket lovers, because Oman has been qualified for a qualifier in October in Australia, which is a World Cup, one of the biggest event for the cricket. And I'm still very positive because the first test match in England has been very successful with no negative or no COVID related news from any of the players involved in entire process, and we are set to go with the second test match. And with God grace, if everything goes okay, the Pakistan is also touring England, and if these two tournaments are successfully done, then it is a very good news for all the cricket lovers across the world that there is a possible chances of cricket starting in a form of World Cup cricket where Oman can be part of it. And when we talk about Oman cricket, I must mention that the big role of Oman Cricket Committee, the kind of efforts they have taken, the kind of last 3-4 years, the preparation was so great that Oman could beat qualifying cricketing nations, including United States and all other kind of teams, and qualified for this World Cup. Definitely the chances, I would say, till the last week I was saying 50-50, but I would say the chances are now more. I would say 60 and above. Why? Because the experimental level of cricket which is happening in England is giving a very good sign. I hope Archer's episode does not create any issue because he has been advised to be isolated for 5 days, and there will be 2 tests will be conducted on him for the COVID-19. And I pray to God that he comes out clean, and so that he can join the cricket again. And this also goes to the cricketing world that yes, if you breach the law, you will be excluded. You will face the fines and penalties. But at the same time, if everyone around the cricketing environment is taking an extreme precaution, and then there is no doubt that this cannot happen. And if you see these matches on television which we are watching, that people are enjoying, the players are enjoying. So I'm still hopeful, Madhya.
I'm sure, Mr. Shiv, we all are extremely hopeful, and we are praying for the cricket and the World Cup to resume so that we can see Oman, achieving the highest level in cricket. Like you said, it qualified amongst the really, really good countries and good teams last year. So it would be a treat to watch, during this pandemic, seeing Oman doing its best. Mr. Shiv, talking about the ball and the handling of the ball, cricket is not the only sport that where the different players or a lot of people are managing the ball. There is also tennis, where there is a ball boy around the court who handles the ball and who passes the ball to the player. Considering all that, how difficult it is going to implement those precautionary measures during the match of tennis.
As we said that even boys are not allowed in cricket anymore. But in cricket, we have reserve players, 12th player, 13th player, 14th player, up to 15th players who can sit across the boundary and throw the ball back. But in tennis, the chances of going the ball across the fences are very higher, and the ball boy plays a very important role during the tennis. In normal course of scenario in tennis matches, organizers pick up young boys who knows the tennis concept, and who knows when to pick up the ball, from where to pick up the ball, and throw to which kind of environment. So these point of time, the only good about when you talk about tennis, beside cricket, you don't have to use the saliva to clean the ball. So tennis is pretty secured in terms of using the saliva. But obviously, the ball boys will be within the contractual obligations, where organizers will have to choose a certain number of individuals who will be also testing. It will be done. The quarantine procedure will be taken care. Then ball boys will be kind of permanent member of the tennis games, where they will be throwing the balls to the players. So beside the tennis, if you know the football is pretty safer than any other sports, because the ball will be kicked by the leg, not with the hand, and the goalkeeper will be wearing the gloves. But there will be definitely some touch will come in the picture when ball goes to the fence and players pick up the ball and throw back to the ground. Only those part can be considered, but as compared to other sports, these are the pretty safer sports, where ball boys can have can come within the framework of testing and quarantine.
Mr. Shiv, you just mentioned about football. I was just going to point out that football, basketball, rugby, at one point you have to, like rugby, people wear gloves. But there is also other players who prefer not to wear gloves. And then basketball, there is no concept of wearing gloves whatsoever. And then, talking about old habits, there are also players who like to spit, because it's just so hot and it gets so humid that like football players and cricket players, hockey players, they like to spit in the ground. So do you think it's going to be very difficult for these players to actually get rid of their habits?
It will definitely take some time, Madiha. As you said, that's something within your habits. Like while playing, you start sweating and you pour water on your face. These are, and you sometimes you see the people doing the gargle on the ground, which is all kind of things are possible in the previous time. But now, when you talk about the COVID and post-COVID time, I would say these are the big challenges. But as you said, the rules, regulations, the fines, penalties will make you learn these things. When you have a fear of losing the game, when you have a fear of giving extra runs to the oppositions, then obviously you will start putting this into your mind. I was reading the news that Stuart Broad from the England cricket team, he had to go to the psychological help for getting this kind of adjustment toward this environment. So these are the things where it will take time, but definitely it is possible.
Thank you, Mr. Shiv, for joining us once again on this show. I would really like to wrap up this show on a positive note that hopefully the cricket is going to, come again. It's going to revive and it's going to continue until the World Cup so that we can all enjoy one of the best World Cups, especially during the time of COVID-19 very soon.
Thank you so much, Madhya.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to all the viewers for tuning in today's episode. We'll be back again next week at 2 p.m. with more updates your way. So stay tuned and keep watching TTV.